Hi guys, John from P&P Campers. Just going to do a handover video on your AutoTrail Apache. So, just by the road, so sorry about the noise, but your engine battery over on the left hand side here, brake fluid attached to the servo down the back, power steering fluid here at the front, engine oil goes in through this little inlet point at the top, and your engine oil dipstick is the red top one just there at the front of the engine. Engine coolant is this one up here, and you can see there it's a really nice pink colour, and it's just there, sat just below the maximum line. Engine's cold at the moment, so that's exactly right. Washer fluid goes in there, and you've got various original Fiat fuses and relays in this box just here. Your paint code just there, 249, and your chassis plate for this particular van is just this one here at the front. Because it's been converted and it's an AutoTrail, it probably has got another sticker somewhere as well, wherever that might be. I'm not 100% sure where it'll be, but I would imagine there's going to be an AutoTrail sticker somewhere as well, so just keep your eye out for that if you ever need it. The bonnet release is this one just here, and your steering column adjustment is that one there. You've also got a fuse box behind here, and exactly the same, well, not the same, obviously a different fuse box, but another one over there on the passenger side as well, because obviously sometimes these are left-hand drive instead of right-hand drive. They've got these little fuse boxes behind both of these covers, both sides. Reversing camera just there, and your blackout blinds for the front windscreen open up like this, clip in up the top, and then you lift your blind up. Gas locker. Sorry about the noise again. So, gas locker in here. You've got two bottles in here and your changeover just there in the middle. Anti-clockwise around to the left turns the bottle on, and clockwise around to the right turns the bottle off. Well, I'm going to leave them on for a minute because I've got a few bits working inside the vehicle just so I can show you. Hookup lead goes in here. This vent just here is for your boiler. I've got the boiler up at the moment and I can feel hot air coming out either side of this vent here, so that's a way of double checking it's definitely working. External water point just here, so it's your bullfinch fitting. And your wastewater drain is this one here. So if I stop the water from coming out, all I've got to do is turn it like that and it'll stop coming out. So that's your wastewater drain. Toilet cassette locker is really nice and simple. All you have to remember is lift up down here to pull it out, and then when you're actually emptying it out from here, you should be holding down the little yellow button at the back. I'm actually just going to shut the front door because I think it might rain any second. Back box there at the back as requested, so that's there, that's fitted, and obviously you've got your tow bar there as well. Freshwater inlet is that one just there on the rear near side of the vehicle, and your freshwater drain is that one just there next to the step. The step comes in and out by this little switch just here, so if I show you, there you go. And you've got your original AutoTrail build number and serial number, all that sort of stuff just there. Two vents just here for your fridge. I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment, and I can feel lots of hot or sort of heat coming out through the top of this vent here, and that proves to me that the gas is definitely lit, because the flames down here, it goes up through a tube and comes out up here. So that's another way of just definitely making sure that's lit. Bullfinch external gas point on the near side, and your battery locker and sort of storage for bits and pieces. Obviously we had to take a couple of bits off the bike rack to get the back box to go on, so they're in here. Vent for the bottom vent of your fridge, The original leisure battery would have sat underneath, well, it does sit underneath here, but you can see they've added a secondary battery as well, which is why you've got the positive cable coming through there and the negative over on the other side. So you've got double batteries, so that's where your leisure batteries are. And then you've got a 12-volt socket just here, which they've wired in as well. Other than that, there's not really a huge amount to show you on the passenger side. This is the other one I was saying about. You've got another fuse box just here. You know, like I said, if it was left-hand drive, this would be the more useful one. Storage in there. This should be the front for your radio, I believe. Yeah, it will be. So the front for the radio's in there. Quite often take them out for a couple of reasons. One being you don't want it to drain out your engine battery if you leave it in, and also it stops it from being nicked, basically. So that's the reason why you would do that. Right, so you jump on the inside now. Right above the door straight away, just turn this light on so you can see it a bit easier. You've got this control panel just here, AutoTrail branded. It's not made by AutoTrail, it's made by Sargent actually. Same as the power supply unit in the cupboard up there. But main on and off switch just here turns on, basically it turns on the power for your lights essentially. And usually these little like 12-volt sockets here would need that on switch on as well, things like that. But you know, main just on and off switch. You'll then be able to use your lights. Obviously you got these nice little LED ones that are being fitted at some point as well, which look really, really nice. Just close that skylight down because it has started raining. So, like I said, main on and off switch just, you know, allows you to use your lights basically. That's the main point of it. And also it then allows you to turn on everything else. So, that one on. This light, this switch here does your awning light. So if I can just show you that out there. There you go. So that's the switch for your awning light. The next one is your water pump switch. Now that is actually on, and I wanted to show you that it was on because no taps are running, nothing's on. If the pump is switched on and no taps are running and the pump isn't on, that basically proves to you that there's no leaks anywhere. There's no sort of, you know, nasty water leaking out anywhere at all. So when I pull the tap, which is going to be the first thing you want to do really, is come in here, put your pump on, and just pull the tap like this. So at the moment we're on the hot side. So really, really good pressure. No air coming through the system. And now I'll go to the cold side. Same again, no air coming out, really, really good pressure. Turn it off. Pump turns itself off. There you go, you're up to pressure. If when you turn that pump on and you did what I just did there, no water comes out, it means that you either haven't got enough water in the tank or your boiler isn't quite full yet. You need to make sure that the boiler's full before you start using it every single time. It's really important. And you know, that's the way you do it basically. This button here is a battery level tester, and so when I push and hold on this, it'll go up, this little bar here will go up, and you need to look at the top scale, so the red, yellow and green. So if I do that, just up there in the green. So I haven't got a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle at the moment. It's not very sunny because you've got solar on the roof. So that's the reason why it's not right up in the green. If I had a hookup plugged in, it would literally be all the way at the very top, and if it was a really sunny day, probably very, very close to the top as well. So that's the reason why it's not at the very, very top. Also, I've got lights on inside the vehicle with nothing charging the batteries up. So, you know, it's never going to be completely 100% full without a cable plugged into it anyway. But that battery voltage there is very, very good. And the next one is the bottom scale, and this is your fresh water level. So push and hold on this one. Checking the bottom scale there, so you've got half a tank of fresh water. So that's all really good. Battery level is really, really high. Water level is about perfect really. So then you can go ahead and start using the water system and everything else. Once you check that the boiler's full of water, you can then light it up on gas if you want to, or mains as well. So if I just show you how that works, we've got this little one here which says Ultra Store. This is the one on the right hand side, this is how you light the boiler up on gas. Now, assuming you've taken the cover off outside as well, you can just literally do this. Down on the outside like that. It'll light up, and then you can set your temperature. So that's 30 all the way through to 70. It's a very noisy day today outside. 30 through to 70, and that is literally the temperature of the water inside your boiler. The boiler sits down here, I believe. Oh no, it doesn't. Underneath the cupboard then. There you go. Right, so the boiler's down here. You've got a drain for the boiler, which is, I don't know if you can see it very well. There you go, that little yellow lever just down there. If you lift that upright rather than flat like it is now, basically all the water from inside that boiler will drain out onto the floor. So if you wanted to drain the boiler out, that's where you would do it from. And also the reason that you would do that is if, for example, it was going to get really, really cold outside, but you weren't going to be using the van and it was just going to be in storage or something like that, you need to drain the boiler out. If you allow the water inside the boiler to freeze, you will be paying out for a new boiler, because they will, you know, essentially, in fact, not even just the boiler, all the pipes around the entire motorhome, if they freeze up with the water inside of them, it'll just crack everything. You know, it expands when it freezes, so it'll just crack and break. And yeah, so it's really important to drain that out. If you're not going to be using the van in, like, you know, over winter, for example, you need to drain that out. If you are going to be using the van all the time during the winter, it doesn't matter at all, because if you're in the van's not going to be at freezing temperatures, is it? Because otherwise you would freeze. So that's that. That's how you drain the boiler out, and that's how you light it up on gas. Okay. If you wanted to use the boiler on the mains, so if you had a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle, which obviously I don't at the moment, like I said, you can use this right hand switch inside the cupboard, which says Ultra Store on it as well. I'll turn it off for now. But if you had a hookup plugged into the vehicle and you've made sure that the boiler's full, turn that switch on there and this will light up. And essentially, after about half an hour or so, you should have hot water coming up through your taps. So if you want to use it on the mains instead of the gas, you can do it from there. Not to be confused with this switch just here, which has Ultra Heat on it. All this one does here, again, I will just turn this off just, you know, for good practice. But when you come into the vehicle, if you have a hookup plugged into it, you can turn this on. Now that doesn't do anything on its own, but turn that on. And as soon as you've turned that one on, you'll be able to use this dial up here. All right, so this has Ultra Heat on it as well. And so if you want to use this heater down here via the mains electric, turn that switch on there, which has Ultra Heat on it, come up here and then choose either 500, 1000 or 2000 watts. And then essentially an element inside the back of that will heat up, and then you'll be able to heat the van up. All right, so that's how the mains electric heating works. Turn that back off, turn that back off, and that's that. So that's how you use the heating on mains. Gas for the boiler, and the electric for the boiler again is in the cupboard like I just showed you. If you don't want to use electric to heat the van up and you want to use the gas, which is, to be fair, is more likely the way that you would use it, or more like, you know, most customers would use it on the gas more so than the mains. Just make sure these fins are all opened up a bit. If you want to light it up on gas, I don't know if you've got the same one in your van or if you've had one before, but turn this around here, and if you listen, you can hear an ignition. So that ignition is basically through there in this little peephole, through there. Probably can't see it on the video, but basically it's just igniting in there automatically. So all I'm going to do is push down on about 3 or 4 and watch through the hole. So ignition stops as soon as it lights up, and that's your pilot flame. Okay, when I lift up on this little button up here, I'm going to turn it around, lift up and then turn around to about 8 or 9. So I've lifted up, I've turned it around. So this happened on the last few videos, it happens on all of these heaters. but there's a good example of what can happen, right? So because it's quite cold outside today, I'm pushing back down again. I'm still at sort of 8 or 9, but I'm pushing back down again so that I've just got that pilot flame again. I'm just going to wait for it to warm up a little bit more, and then I'm going to let go again. You can just about see the main flame is the one on the right hand side there, look. So it's trying its best to get going, and there you go. That's it. So I've let go of that now, and you can see in there that we've now got the main flame on the right and the pilot flame. So you see how quickly that took, you know, how little time that actually took to sort of get right, you know. That wasn't very good English, but you know what I mean. You know, it didn't take very long to sort of rectify that problem. To be fair, this is exactly how all of these heaters are. Unless you spend hours taking these to pieces and putting them all back together after cleaning them out and stuff, which, you know, you can do. But unless you do that, it will take a couple of goes to light up. It's just the way that they are. If you want to spend hours taking it to pieces and cleaning it, you can, but it's not, you know, for the sake of an extra 10 seconds, it's not really a big problem. But there you go. So it's lit up, working perfectly well. You've got these little circular vents around the vehicle, which are all directly linked to this fan, which is just in there. You can see it there, look. So if I turn this little dial here to the left, fan starts spinning, and the air starts pumping around through to all of those little circular vents around the vehicle. So essentially what you're doing is heating up just here, this big sort of thin section just here, heating that up, and then by using the fan, you're just drawing that heat out and just pumping it around nice and evenly around the entire motorhome. So in my opinion, if you've got this fan on these, because they don't all have the fan, if you've got this, please just use it, because if you don't use it, these things get seriously hot. If you leave the fan on, it just sort of evenly pumps it around rather than just all coming out through the very front just here. So it's just, you know, in my opinion, if you've got that there, you may as well use it. Another tip I would give you is when you turn this off, just by turning it all the way back around to 0, which I'll just show you there, look. That's off. I would leave the fan running for 5-10 minutes or so. Maybe 5 minutes is okay. But I would leave that running for a little bit, just because these get so hot. When you turn it off especially, it actually gets even hotter for 5 minutes or so. So when you turn the fan off, instantly you'll feel when that air stops being drawn out through the back and through the pipes, when you turn the fan off, the heat that comes out through the front is quite impressive actually. Bearing in mind it's only been on for 2 minutes, it's really hot. So if I was you, leave that pumping around, because even when you turn it off, 5-10 minutes after you turn it off, you're still going to be pumping around hot air. So, you know, you don't actually have to have it on for very long to heat the van up whatsoever. So that's the heating. Obviously the dials up here are for, you know, the way to use it on the gas and your fan. And like I said, ultra heat switch on in the cupboard, and then you'll be able to use your ultra heat electric switch. Okay. Right, the sink, I've shown you that, but I will just point out, obviously, every single drain here goes directly through to your waste tank. So they've all been checked, they don't leak or anything like that. But if you are on a campsite and you're at the sort of place where they don't really want you just draining it out to the floor, which many campsites don't, you will need to just like turn it off basically, and there'll be two things. If they haven't got like a drive over drain off point, which would look like almost like a cattle grid, it looks like you have to just basically drive over it and then you can drain out your wastewater. If it hasn't got that, then essentially what you need to do is turn it off and then get yourself a little wastewater rollaway. So it's like a tank on like a handle basically with wheels. So roll it underneath your drain there and then drain it out into the tank and then wheel it to wherever you need to go. But that's basically, you know, it's simple stuff. When you realise, you know, what you have to do, it's really nice and simple. The skylight up here opens up just by this, and you've got a fan on here as well, so you can set your speed and then whichever way you want it to go to. Yeah, so this way here, pointing this way, is drawing the air out, so it's like an extractor to go off and then back this way. this is now blowing the air in. So this one facing this way is drawing air in, and facing that way is drawing air out. So I'll just close it down now. The cooker is really nice and simple. You've got 3 burners at the top, all lighting up via this ignition switch just here. So if I show you, and over the back there, that's lit up. The 4th burner over here, it's not actually a burner, it's a hot ring. So if you had an electric hookup plugged into the vehicle, you can use this dial over here and choose between 1 through to 6, and basically this will just heat up. And like I said, that'll only work when your mains cable's plugged in. So that's if you wanted like a, had like a little metal kettle to sit on there or something like that, or whatever really. But yeah, so the ignition also does the grill, which is obviously under there, and your oven. So they all light up really, really nice and easily. Underneath here, you've got your water pump at the back and a couple of gas isolators just there. So if you just sort of like got down there and had a little look at what they are, they'll have a little diagram on the front of them and it'll tell you which one it is. And that little switch over there turns off the power for your electric hot ring on this hob. So if you had a hookup plugged in and you didn't want that to be working at all for whatever reason, you can isolate it from there. Right, the fridge is nice and simple again. So it's a 3-way fridge. So that means it works 3 different ways, obviously. You've got gas, mains electric, and 12 volt. So the 12 volt is for when you're driving only. The mains electric is if you have a mains cable plugged in. And the gas, obviously, is if you have gas. So you need to turn the gas on, and then literally, so I'll just turn it off now. No more flame there now, it's completely off. All I'm going to do is just turn it literally one way to the gas, and then just listen. I don't know if you would have heard that on the video, but it literally took 4 ignition switch. It does it all by itself. It draws the gas through by itself. It lights up by itself. That's it. You don't have to do anything with this at all. This is basically just for, well, it is kind of like a way of sort of adjusting how much gas or how powerful the gas is used. But for the first couple of hours or so, this won't really do much because it'll still be heating up, well, cooling down actually, but also heating up. So really the only time you'd ever need to use this, if it was like a seriously hot day and the gas was struggling to light up, turn this all the way down and then try it again. When it's really hot outside, if you overload it with gas, it just won't work. So that's why they sort of give you that. Turn it right down, it will light up, and then you can turn it up. But essentially, if you find that it's starting to sort of freeze up a bit too much in the freezer part, which is up here, then you can just turn it down a bit. All right. So that's how you use it on gas. Literally turn your gas bottle on, turn it once to the right, and it will light up. If you have a constant amber light in there, that means it's on and it's working. If the amber light is flashing, it means that there's no gas there and it hasn't lit up. So usually meaning you've run out of gas, or I don't know. If you've run out of gas, then obviously that won't light up. But that's pretty much the only reason why it wouldn't work. If you had a mains cable plugged in, it's just as easy to go one more to the right there, and then essentially you get a little green light in that middle one, and it would light up. Well, not light up obviously, but it would heat up in the back and then cool the fridge down. The reason why I said the 12 volts is for running only, as in engine running only, is because the 12 volt doesn't get the fridge cold by itself. All the 12 volt does is remain or keep the temperature that you've already got it to for the period that you're driving. So if you're going to go away tomorrow morning, my advice would be light it up on gas or have a mains plugged in and put it on the mains. And to be honest, if I was you, if I did have access to having a mains cable into the vehicle at home, I would be more inclined to put it to the mains and have a mains plugged in, because by the morning you have electric, the electric would have been working on the fridge all night and it'll be cold, but also your battery will be fully charged up, ready to go. Now that's not the end of the world. If you don't have the access to a mains cable at home, it's not the end of the world at all, because when you start the engine up, you've got a split relay anyway. So as long as the engine battery is being charged up, your leisure batteries are also being charged up exactly the same. So the whole time you're driving, your engine and leisure batteries have both got full power. So if you don't have access to that mains cable at home, it's really not a problem whatsoever. But like I said, the only way to get the fridge cold on its own is either the gas or the 240 volt, the mains cable, and then put it on 12 volt just for when you're driving. And then when you stop driving and when you park up and do whatever, go back to whichever one of these two that you have. So because I've not got a mains cable plugged in at the moment, so I can't use that, but I do have the gas on. Okay. These fridges do take between about 4 or 5 hours to actually get cold in the first place, because if you imagine you've got a new fridge at home and plug it in for the first time, it's not going to be cold in half an hour or 10 minutes or whatever. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours at least. So it's exactly the same on the motorhome fridges, because obviously they spend a lot of time not cold, if you know what I mean. They do take a little bit of time to get cold again. So just bear that in mind. Right, so that's those bits and pieces up there. You've then got this cupboard up here, which is the same on a lot of AutoTrails. Essentially, this is your whole electrical system in a way. So you've got your PSU just here, so your power supply unit. So what this basically means, a power supply unit is basically all of your 12 volt and 240 volt power comes here to this box and then gets distributed as and where it needs to go throughout the vehicle. So if there was a mains cable plugged in, this would be lit up red and telling you that your battery charger was working and that your leisure batteries were being charged up. Also, if you had a mains cable plugged in, these here are your trip switches. If these are upright and showing red, it means that they're on. If they're down and showing green, that means they're off. So these are kind of like your little trip switches for your actual appliances, and they correspond just here where it says MCB allocation. They correspond to telling you exactly which ones do which. Well, so number one there does socket outlets. So if I plugged, for example, if I just find so this 240 volt socket here, if I plugged something into there which it didn't like, it would trip MCB number one. So it would do that. All right, so you can literally just come in here and work out straight away what it is that's the problem. If you plugged a mains cable in and the actual main system wasn't happy, it would trip the main RCD just here. Like that. So that's the main stuff. You've also got fuses. So you've got 8 fuses down here. So these are your DC power, 12 volt power. So you've got, it tells you exactly what size all the fuses need to be and what they do as well. So fan, if I went to put the fan on the heater and it stopped working, I could come up here and just quickly have a little look in here, work out which one it is. So number 7 should be a 5 amp, which it is, and then I could take it out and check it. So it's so nice and simple. Your solar controller is up there. You haven't got to press any buttons on that, it literally just does its own thing. And all of your sort of TV bits and pieces are up here. So to be honest with you, I don't really know a huge amount about all this stuff. I know that at the top there, that is a TV aerial booster, so you can turn that on and off from up there. But really, this is more for the customer to sort of go through and play with. These are all just kind of like extra bits and pieces. They are fitted from new, but they're not things that we go through as part of the habitation checks and that kind of thing. So I've got no doubt that it all works, but go through there and have a look at that and see if you can work it if you like. If not, it's there if you need it. But there you go. So really nice long settees just here, which you can use as singles if you want. And also, obviously, as you probably are aware, you can pull these bits out and make it into a big double bed. Very big double bed, actually. This switch just here does these lights underneath. And yeah, so I'm actually in the middle of spraying redoing your bathroom sink. So I'm not going to show you in there because it's a little bit ugly at the moment, with all the masking tape and things like that. But literally all I would normally show you in the bathroom anyway is just how to use the toilet, and it's just literally a blue switch on the top for the flush. So it's I don't even feel like I need to show you in there. It's so simple. But when you get to picking the vehicle up, I'm sure you'll be happy with the sink in there, and so it'll all be worth it in the end. So I think I've shown you everything I can, really. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know, and we'll get straight onto it. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.